Hi Phil, it's Robert here again. So I just want to give you this quick video clip of my new MTC MVX skimmer. This has been running now for almost 3 weeks now, and by far this skimmer is pulling out more stuff than my previous skimmer that I've owned over the past 17 years. So this skimmer is just a beast of a skimmer. It stands about 4 feet tall. What I did, I have the collection cup hooked up to a drain pipe that drains down to my my drain pipe in my basement, so it takes the water straight outside, which is good. And I also like the fact that the skimmer collection cup lid is sealed, so none of that stinky air doesn't get out into the basement. So I drilled a hole in the top of the skimmer, as you can see here, and this tube is venting the bad air outside of the house, which is good. Alright, so this is the skimmer. Very impressive. I'm running it with an Iwaki 40 MD pump, which puts out around about 690 gallons an hour, around 21 feet of head pressure. So this thing runs with the Mazzy injector 684. So the water from the pump comes up this pipe, and there's some kind of pressure valve right here, and it causes a suction of air to pass through this hose to create the Mazzy injector to infuse air into the body of the skimmer. So if you look at the body of the skimmer, it's a solid white mess of tiny bubbles, which gives me this intense foam head at the top. Now, as I told you, I started to dabble again with Ozone, so I fired up one of my old small SWC skimmers. I went out to Home Depot and I bought these little bungee cords to keep the lid of the skimmer cup sealed. I actually put an ozone resistant gasket in the top here. It's under the lid, that creates a nice seal to keep the ozone from escaping. So the ozone actually, because the collection cup is sealed here, I drill another hole here. The SWC skimmers, they come with 5 holes on the top of the skimmer. So I actually seal the holes from the underside with UV plastic, so it doesn't break down over time. And I also seal the holes from the top as well to prevent any of the ozone gas from escaping. And then I drilled one hole here, and again, just like my MTC skimmer that I'm venting out the bad air, I'm also venting out the ozone air from the skimmer with this ozone resistant tubing. This is regular tubing for the regular skimmer, and then this is ozone tubing for the ozone that I'm running in this skimmer. So I'm solving both issues with bad air or escape ozone from getting out into the basement by directly venting out these skimmer collection cups directly outside. I also have the skimmer draining to the sump as well, and you can see how nasty these skimmer heads are. Before, I wasn't getting the stuff out of these skimmers. Ever since I added the ozone, it's really causing my skimmers to pull out some really nasty black stuff, as you can see there, which is good. So here is my ozone generator. It's made by Clearwater. And there's other ones on the market. There's Ozotech, that are pretty good, just as good. But I like this model because it doesn't require an air dryer. It will use the ambient air in my basement. So this hose here is the inlet to the ozone reactor. Air is being pulled through by the skimmer here. So this hose, this ozone tubing, goes directly into the outlet of my ozone reactor here, and the inlet for the air is here. So air is sucked in through this port into the corona discharge assembly in the ozone reactor. Ozone comes out here and is pumped into my skimmer down here, as you can see. So this is my ozone reactor, and I monitor it via the apex. So I have it set to come on when the ORP drops below 320, and it goes as high. Once it gets to like 360, 370, it shuts off. Because ideally, if you're saying that the safe range for your ORP readings is anywhere from 300 to 450. I don't want to get mine as high as 450 because the water can get too clean, or it may cause too much ozone to get into the water, which is not a good thing for the tank and the inmates in my tank. So I try to keep my ozone as high as my ORP as high as 370 and as low as 320. And the apex controls the ozone generator here, so it'll tell it when to come on and when to turn off. So this is my ozone setup here. I'm not smelling any ozone. Also, the outlet of my skimmer, as you can see down here, the pipe with this elbow right here, I made a carbon reactor where this elbow takes the pipe directly into that mason jar, that glass mason jar with that ozone safe lid that I bored some holes in the top. It's filled with carbon in a bag. I put carbon in some mesh bags, so the water coming out of the skimmer passes through the carbon to remove the residual ozone that might be in the air. Right, so that is my setup, Phil, for my ozone reactor. Ozone is something that you have to really be careful with. You have to make sure that you know what do your homework on it. Make sure you know what you're doing. I recommend it for people who have heavy bioloads. And make sure you have a ORP monitor and ways of controlling your ORP so it doesn't get too high. Make sure your skimmer is also ozone safe, as my SWC skimmer, so it doesn't break down over time. My MTC skimmer as well is also ozone safe, but based on what the expert says, they're saying not to run ozone in your number one skimmer or your main skimmer. Using an old skimmer to do that, which I'm doing here. So over time, I'm actually saving or extending the lifespan of my skimmer without pounding it with the ozone gas. So this skimmer can take a licking with the ozone because it's ozone safe. So I'd rather beat this up and keep my nice MVX MTC skimmer running here, which is doing a spectacular job pulling out some of the nastiest stuff I've ever seen out of my water. So Phil, that is my ozone setup, and I am going to take you upstairs to show you my two pseudochromas that are swimming together.